Welcome to The Explainer, where we dive into some of the most fascinating topics out there.
Okay, let's get right into it. We're looking at this pretty wild social experiment where one woman has to face 50 men, all of them trying to win a single date. It's this high-speed, high-stakes game of first impressions, and trust me, it gets wonderfully chaotic.
So, how did this whole thing even work? Well, the rules sound simple, but the execution was, anything but.
That's right, 50 guys, one woman, and each guy gets just a few seconds to make his case. The goal is super straightforward. Get Rashmi's attention and don't get sent home. But as you're about to see, their methods were, well, let's just call them creative.
So how did the men try to make that all-important first impression? Their opening lines were basically a masterclass in variety. Ranging from these beautiful, poetic lines to some that were just plain confusing.
Some of the contestants went for this really soulful, poetic route. This line here, it translates to, if you search, you'll find someone, but where will you find my eyes? And you know what? It actually landed really well. Rashmi even said you could tell he took a second to remember it, and that effort, that's what really mattered to her.
Now, what's so interesting here is the massive difference in strategies. On one side, you've got the thoughtful poet, and on the other, you've got this guy who just strolls up, calls himself Daddy Nature, and straight up asks for the date. Talk about two completely different kinds of confidence on display.
And then, of course, you had the pickup lines that totally crashed and burned before they could even finish. This poor guy didn't even get to his punchline before Rashmi just shut it all down with a very quick, I don't want to know, get out. Brutal, but so efficient.
But here's the thing, not everyone came in trying to be charming. A surprising number of guys went straight for the roast, probably hoping that a little edgy humor would make him stand out.
And we're not talking about lighthearted jabs either. The insults got really personal, with guys attacking Rashmi's appearance head-on. This contestant came out swinging, only to find out pretty quickly that she could hit back way, way harder.
But Rashmi? Oh, she was more than ready for them. Her comebacks were so sharp and, honestly, pretty intimidating. She wasn't just sitting there being a passive judge, she was right in the middle of the verbal sparring, and let me tell you, she rarely lost.
So yeah, a pattern started to emerge pretty quickly. It turns out that, comparing her to an animal, making fun of her height, using gross lines, or doing that weird stuttering daddy thing, all of those were basically guaranteed tickets to an immediate exit. And this right here perfectly shows Rashmi's go-to response for anyone who crossed the line. No hesitation. Just a very swift, very final, Nicolo, 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 which just means get out, get out, get out. The message? Crystal clear. So after it became obvious that words were just failing a lot of the contestants, some of them decided to let their actions do the talking, and that's when the whole competition shifted in a new, much more physical direction.
You can see a real pivot here. When charm and wit didn't work, the game just completely changed. It wasn't about what you could say anymore, it was about what you could do.
Take this contestant, for example. He decided his best shot was to just show off his physical fitness. He proudly announces where he's from and then just starts demonstrating his strength, hoping that, a display of power would work better than another bad pickup line.
So all of this craziness builds and builds, and it all leads to a final, pretty unbelievable challenge to figure out the one winner who would actually get the date with Rashmi. The path to victory was a legitimate gauntlet. A guy had to survive the initial rapid-fire pickup lines, then he had to endure some seriously harsh roasts, make it through a second feedback round, and then, to top it all off, outlast every other guy in a wrestling free-for-all. It tested everything: wit, ego, and just pure physical strength.
So after this absolutely chaotic wrestling match, a winner is finally crowned. He's the last man standing. He's won the date. But the prize he fought so hard for, it comes with a very serious and, let's just say, a very permanent catch. See, Rashmi's a tattoo artist, so she decides their date is going to be a tattoo session where she gives the winner, Munthan, some permanent ink. And at first, he is totally on board. He's like, yeah, let's do it, ready to commemorate his hard-fought victory.
Okay, so this is the moment of truth. After surviving 49 other guys in a wrestling match, our champion faces his final challenge. Does he actually get the tattoo? And just like that, all that confidence just evaporates. As the reality of a permanent tattoo starts to sink in, a much bigger fear takes over: his parents. Suddenly, the last man standing is pleading, "Mere ghar wale marenge," which means, "My family will kill me." And his unfiltered panic
gives us this absolute gem of a line, where he clarifies exactly who he's afraid of. He bluntly says, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here for you, "Dude, my dad will rip me apart." It turns out the final boss of this entire competition wasn't another contestant. It was his dad.
And what a perfect ending, right? After all that chaos, all that bravado and competition, the whole experiment boils down to this very real, very relatable conflict. So what does this hilarious twist tell us about the cultural pressures that exist just outside the bubble of modern dating rituals? Now that's something to think about.